Hi, this is Seda Akbiyik, and today I will talk about my recent work on animate actions and inanimate events. Look at this person jumping. How the body moves, the kinematics, the goals of this person, all of this is relevant information to make sense of this event. What about a ball moving in a very similar way? Like the person's jumping, the ball followed a certain trajectory and bounced away, but it doesn't have goals or a body. So how are these events represented in the brain? Previous work showed that when we observe an action, or read or listen to sentences that describe actions, a network of prefrontal, parietal, and posterior temporal brain regions are involved. Altogether, these regions were defined as the action observation network, assuming that it supports recognizing actions of humans specifically. However, previous work mostly focused on human actions, so it's not clear which parts of this system encode representations specific to agents, such as biological motion, goals, and social aspects, or more general properties also shared with object events, such as the movement trajectory, or the change an entity goes through by its movement. In this study, we addressed this issue by comparing the neural activity patterns associated with observing agentive actions, such as a person jumping over, walking by, or kicking another object, with structurally similar object events, such as a ball bouncing over, passing by, or hitting another object. To this end, we conducted several whole-brain multivoxel pattern analyses. First, we started with agentive actions. We extracted neural activity patterns associated with jumping, walking, and kicking, and searched for brain regions where a support vector machine classifier could distinguish them. And we concluded that regions that can distinguish these three actions above chance encode some action information associated with agent actions. And we then repeated the same analysis with motion events of objects for comparison purposes. Here are the accuracy maps from agent action decoding. The red outlines indicate areas corrected for multiple comparisons. And in line with the literature, parts of premotor, parietal, and posterior temporal cortices could distinguish meaningfully different actions of humans from each other. And strikingly, when we completed the same decoding analysis for the three object events, we observed that overlapping brain regions of the action observation network could distinguish them as well. But this doesn't mean that these regions are encoding the same representations for both. To search for regions that encode a common representation for agent actions and object events, we used cross-agent or object MVPA. So here, after the algorithm learned the rules for distinguishing actions from one category, say the agent actions, we tested its performance in distinguishing actions from the other category, in this case object events. So this analysis thus reveals which brain regions encode representations that are common to agent actions and object events. And here are the accuracy maps from cross-decoding MVPA. Here we see that key regions of the action observation network actually encode representations that generalize across agent actions and object events. After observing the similarities in the neural patterns associated with agent actions and object events, in our final analysis, we investigated the differences between the two. And to this end, we investigated which parts of the brain are most successful in distinguishing the three agent actions compared to distinguishing the three object events. And strikingly, a subregion in right superior temporal sulcus distinguished agent actions better than object events, and we think that this region might be encoding some action representations that are specific to agent actions, such as biological or human agent motion. We also observed two small clusters in bilateral superior parietal lobe, and this area is known to be implicated in visual motor coordination. To summarize, we show that key regions of the action recognition network not only represent agent actions and object events in an overlapping way, they also encode representations that are shared between the two. And this has implications particularly for action processing effects in the motor system, I think, such as premotor cortex and inferior parietal lobe, and suggests that action representations here cannot be limited to sensory-motor features specific to agent actions. We also found a subregion in right superior middle temporal sulcus that could better distinguish agent actions compared to object events. So the action recognition system also contains components that are distinctly associated with agent action processing. And notably, agent general events were stronger in left temporal cortex as opposed to agent actions that were stronger in right superior temporal sulcus. So this dissociation might imply distinct roles of left and right temporal cortices in processing more conceptual versus more agent-specific event aspects. But overall, we show both shared and distinct neural representations associated with agent actions and object events, and we hope that our findings will shed new light onto the functional profiles of frontoparietal and temporal cortices in action recognition and understanding. Thank you for listening to my talk.